Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Free Daily Coaching. Pretty excited to be here this morning. Let me make sure everything is set up. We had a couple technical things that have been changing over the last few days with some different setup we've got. And I wanted to touch base. Last week, we did an entire week about goal setting, and I wanted to swing back around on this Monday. And I put in Monday Mania, let's get this done. And the reason is because I identified a couple additional challenges, and I believe they're universal challenges. They're not just unique to the projects that I was working on. I believe that each and every one of us has the same universal challenges. So I wanted to talk about those a little bit this morning, but then really look at the solutions and how do you, and as a group, how do we as a group, how are we able to move forward, and how are we able to overcome those challenges? And so one of the unforeseen challenges or obstacles that I started to notice in doing some of the projects were in some instances when we write out the list of required actions necessary or required to get to the end goal, we're missing some of the required steps simply because we have a lack of knowledge. That's it. We simply don't know we don't know what it is that we don't know. And so because of that, we're unaware that there are things that are going to be obstacles or challenges. We're not even aware going into the scenario or going into the project that those are even going to be issues. So a couple of different items came up in the projects that I was working on. So for those of you that are watching this morning, that are here live, or that are watching this on a recording, you could go back to the YouTube channel, or you can go back to freedailycoaching.com and watch our prior episodes and see what the projects were that we were working on last week and how I was laying those out. And then so in two of these instances, and one is this camera project, we saw that it was really quick. It was easy. We got it all set up, or fairly quick and easy. And we're like, wow, that was cool. The hardware part of it got done pretty quickly. And then we realized, hey, the configuration, the system in which we decided to go with isn't going to be adequate. It's not going to work for what we're desiring, right? What we want to get out of it. It's not going to be able to do that. Okay, so then what do we do? So that was one of the unforeseen challenges. So then the next step is in the process is, okay, what's the next required action? Well, we require a different type of camera, an independent camera. So we do that. And then we look at a camera that's specifically powered over the Ethernet cable that it's connected to, right? So it's an Ethernet cable that's plugged into the camera that goes right to the router, and that also powers the camera. So that will be perfect, so that we don't have to run additional power lines. So we ordered those cameras. Cameras came. We're super pumped, right? And then what I realized, again, I didn't know what I didn't know. So not all routers provide power over Ethernet. Okay, so just because the camera was power over Ethernet and you could plug the Ethernet cable into it and plug it directly into the router, doesn't mean that the router itself was power over Ethernet able. In this specific case, it was not. So what was required was we had to go and order another, like a switch or another router that had the ability to do power over Ethernet. So once that arrives today, we have the cameras ready to go and we're ready to set them up. It's just a matter of getting that. So we didn't know what we didn't know. And in specifically where we're located geographically, it's just not easily accessible to get some of the equipment or supplies that you'd want unless you do it via online. Meaning that when we got the cameras was on Friday, right? So we were supposed to get them on Thursday, but it was a big storm. So they got here Friday. However, there was no, over the weekend, there was no ability to really get a piece of equipment that would fit, right? The nearest town or big town that I could go and get the equipment, they don't even have it in town. Like in Reno, they don't have a big enough switch that I could use that would accommodate what I'm looking for at a reasonable price point. They have one if I want to pay like 5 times what it's actually cost to get it. So rather than pay the exorbitant, overage, I could just wait and get it today on Amazon. So that was one thing. Then the second thing was in the, in the build out of the new free daily coaching site, we got the site built, we got all the videos uploaded and the actual playlist connected. So that part was working. So then it was just a matter of, I don't even know what you want to call it. Just fill in, right? Additional stuff, adding the original air dates, adding in, copying and pasting over from all, each week, Debbie does a recap of our friends of FDC and does like a title or a recap. So copying and pasting all of those over. So I hired my son to do that. So he's going to get on that and literally was going to do it yesterday. And it was his sister's birthday. So little tiny scheduling things like that got me a little bit behind, but that wasn't the big concern because the visual aesthetic portion of it wasn't a concern for me because the current members already, for access for them, wasn't a concern, right? Aesthetically, it wouldn't matter. They could just get in there, get the episodes that they wanted access to and be gone. The challenge or the obstacle that I ran into was that when I went to go and create the affiliate portion of it, I didn't have all of my stuff, right? So on my back end, there's things that I had to create and do to be able to connect the affiliate portion, meaning that I had to create the FDC product and then put it into the JV Zoo so that I could pull it out and pull it over into the affiliate, or just have a separate pay site, right? So just make a separate pay page. So then I had to decide, okay, what do I want to do as far as, do I want to keep just this current pay page and then just connect it? So there was a few obstacles there that I hadn't realized. I thought it was just going to be a little bit easier, just like a memberships deal where I could just say, okay, now make an affiliate of this, right? But I had to go and create. So there was a few additional steps. So here's the big learning deal and the big takeaway, and probably this is universal for everyone. Now, I gave 2 specific examples in 2 different projects of some obstacles that occurred and slowed me down. In the past, I would have simply just abandoned the projects. And this is why. They would have taken too much time, too much energy, and I wouldn't have seen a return, and I would have gotten frustrated, right? Because it didn't work the way I wanted it to or how I thought it would. And so then I would just move on to the next thing to find some kind of instant, like in lieu of that, some kind of instant gratification. So if that makes sense, then, and you've done something like that, then I have a solution. And the solution is simply to press forward and to be tenacious in achieving your goals. And so what I did this morning was I just simply went back. I simply backstepped a moment, wrote down the different areas again that I had goals in, right? What was the clear and determined goal? Where was the outcome that I wanted to, what was the desired result that I wanted to get to? And then what was the list of required actions from here moving forward? You see, what happens is we come to these challenges, and sometimes we overcome them or we don't. We find a solution or we don't. And either way, even sometimes when we find the solution, we're so mentally and emotionally drained from the effort that was required to get to the solution that we never then apply the solution and follow through. And I've done this on multiple different projects, on multiple different things. And you may have seen this in your own business, not following all the steps through. You've gotten 5 of the 6 steps or 4 of the 7, right? And then you're wondering, well, why isn't it working? Why aren't the wheels turning? Why isn't this happening? It's because if we don't have every single piece in place, right, the power plant doesn't power up, right? If all the circuits aren't operational, we're not going to get electricity. That's the reality of how things work. So the bigger lesson was just to really be able to take a step back and say, okay, some of this, like the camera thing, I was really getting a little like obsessed, and I was looking for all these stores all around, and I was going to drive up to Reno, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get something that can work until Monday, right? And then the reality is, hey, why not just take some time away, right? You know exactly now what the goals are, what's still required to accomplish the end result. That didn't go away. Those goals, those endpoints did not go away. All that happened was it was taking longer to get there. So this is the deal. Ultimately, the majority of the time when we're doing something new, or when we're going to do a large project, and this is probably even more true for those that have some skill sets in different areas of the project that you're doing. We underestimate the time in which it will take us to accomplish the project, and B, the amount of time in which it will take us to overcome any unforeseen challenges. So we don't allot for those unforeseen challenges. And so in the bigger picture, we think, well, I could do this in a pretty quick amount of time. I'll do this, and it'll be done. And we don't take into account for all kinds of different challenges. Let's use an example of building a house or building a new barn out on our property. I could say, okay, well, I could frame up the base in this amount of time. It'll take overnight to set the actual footings, right? The posts, the beams that were in the ground. Then you could put up the flooring, the rafters, or the joists, the floor joists, right? And then you could put the decking down, and then you could start framing up the walls. And so you could look in and see, okay, well, how long will it take each of those processes? And then when you actually go to apply it, when you go to do it, you realize that, oh, it's going to take you an extra day to dig the footings, the post holes. Why? Well, because there's so many rocks, and there's so many big rocks, that either we have to shift where the entire building would be located, or you're going to have to do quite a bit of more excavating of the rocks to be able to get the depth and to be able to do exactly what you want to do. So that would be a great instance in where all of a sudden now there's extra time there that's required. Okay. Now what happens if, when you go to do that, once that's in, now you have your time schedule. So what happens in the middle of the time schedule if it's snowing, or you're by yourself, there's only one person. So the day that you were going to raise the walls, you can't do that because now you're by yourself, right? It just happens that my wife, who's almost always home, and so if I was doing a project, she could assist me. Today has an appointment, so she'll be out, so she wouldn't be able to help me raise that. So you could see in this example where just a couple little things could really set you behind. Well, in many cases, what happens is we allow that to beat us down. We allow that to be another negative message, another tape that we allow to play in our head that says, hey, we didn't accomplish this. One of my mentors talks a lot about the words that we speak and the things that we say. What we say goes out of our mouth, and then we hear it too. Not only do others hear it, but we hear what it is that we say. And so I found that when I don't accomplish my goals, not only do I feel guilty to myself, but I also feel accountable to others. And so as a leader, as a home business owner, as a small business owner, as a team leader, if you're selling products or services, if you're leading other people, you want to be able to follow through. And so one of the biggest, I think, strengths and assets you have is the ability to say, hey, there was some unforeseen obstacles that I didn't allow for that set me behind. That's just the reality of the world sometimes, right? I couldn't get the cameras lined up or set up because I didn't have the knowledge to order the right thing. If I would have had it all ordered up at one time. When the cameras came, I would have had the switch, right? But I didn't know. So if you don't know something, that's okay. We have to allow ourselves And this is where I think in the past, I hadn't been able to persevere through some of these challenges. And maybe some of you are like this too. When we make a mistake, we somehow, or I did anyways, and maybe you relate to this, I felt like I was dumb, or, oh, like, how stupid am I? I should have totally known that, or I should have looked that up better, right? And what would happen is, because I didn't get it done on the day that I was all excited and we were ready and the cameras came, by today, I would have moved on to something else, right? I would have moved on, and now I'm doing something else, and whatever, I'll get to this when it comes, when I get back to it. And that mode of thinking and that train of thought always kind of leads to a bunch of unfinished projects, of a bunch of half completed efforts. And so instead, why not just give yourself a break and say, hey, you know what? Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you don't get things finished. Or sometimes things come up in life and you get to make a choice as a business owner what the priorities are. And maybe you want to refocus your priorities. Last week, I decided to refocus my priorities on one day because there was an amazing day of snow where there's 2 feet of snow came down from like midnight to 6 in the morning. How could you not do that, right? How could you not go enjoy that amount of snow? Why? Well, because that's the whole reason that I got into my home-based business. So I could have the freedom that no one could tell me that when or how or why I could take the day off, right? I wanted to be able to decide that for myself. So as small business owners, as independent business owners, as independent business facilitators, as consultants, as multi-level marketers, as part-time business owners, right? As people creating their own home-based business, we have to recognize, hey, sometimes we're going to have challenges. Sometimes we're not always going to accomplish exactly what we want to in the time that we want to accomplish it. That's okay. How do we keep on persevering? How do we actually push through and get to the end result? How do you get to the goal? Well, that's stopping, refocusing. Once you've identified that challenge and you've identified the solution, and then you apply the solution. And it's just that simple. So I went back, I did exactly what I told you guys I was going, or what I did exactly what I said I did, is I went back and I wrote down a bunch of these different goals. And then I wrote down what's the separate individual items that are still required to be accomplished to finish those tasks, right? That's it. We just have to refocus. And this is a constant effort in our business. And just like you guys get to watch me do it, you guys also get to apply this in your business. I try and be as open and as honest in what I'm going through in my business, how I'm growing, how I'm developing, so that I can show you. So that in some instances, there's some things that are bigger picture that you guys don't see, I don't tell you about, or we're not sharing about, right? Some of the challenges or obstacles. While we're in it, we wait until we're done so that we can show you the solution. And then sometimes it's a great example when it's not something that's profound or huge, or that's super personal, or that's affecting us on a large scale. When it's something that's on a daily basis, that's probably more universal than you'd think, that more people than not experience this, then why not show you and say, hey, listen, if you're experiencing this, I've had the same exact experience. This is how you refocus. Take some time for yourself. That's what I did. I took some time. I did something for me. Enjoyed me time, enjoyed some family time with my wife, right? Because I knew that there was nothing I could do on this camera project. I knew that there was nothing I could do on this other project until some more pieces came. So why not take that time, enjoy it, spend it with my family, do some things for myself, and knowing that I'm going to dive right back in, that I'm going to create this list of required actions, and then I'm going to go apply and take those actions. And I can tell you guys, from getting up this morning, cleaning out, right, doing things that I didn't do over the weekend, and really since Thursday, because I took that day Thursday, then Friday the cameras came, so we got all excited and started tearing stuff apart and redoing and reconfiguring everything, right? And getting into that, and then realizing, hey, I don't have the right equipment. I can't do this, right? It's not going to work. From then until today, I didn't do my normal daily routine, my emails, all that. So getting back into it and knowing that you're going to do that is rewarding for you as a business owner, because you can now get back into your routine. You're now getting caught up. Also, what happens is this, after you've had some challenges, some obstacles, and after you found those solutions, and after you're now moving through with this new list of required actions, I can tell you that it, just like before, some of these actions, you just look at them and you're like, oh, these are just tasks individually that I just don't have like they're not like, woo, that's at the top of my list of things I want to do today. However, to accomplish your goals, to get to the end result that you're looking to get to as a home business owner, whether you're an affiliate marketer, whether you're a multi-level marketer, whether you're in network marketing, maybe you're simply branding your brick and mortar business online. There is going to be some of the required actions that are necessary to get to that goal that you're just simply not going to want to do. They're not going to be pleasant activities. They're not going to be enjoyable for you. That's just the reality of how business works. So you have a choice. You can either outsource those activities, or you can buckle up and just press through and do the activities. I always recommend in the beginning that you buckle up, press through those activities, record your activity, what it is, the action steps that you're doing, so that in the future, if you decide to outsource it, you have a video cut and created so that you actually be able to show someone exactly the steps that are required and what's necessary for that project, right? For that specific task, so that you could actually show someone what you would want to do for that task. So that's the call for this morning. Really getting refocused and saying, okay, we had some challenges. Those challenges didn't stop us. Okay, all of the things, all the projects that we're working on, we're going to complete. The free daily coaching site will get moved over. Everything will get completed with that. We will have live camera feed. The new product will get filmed and recorded. Everything will happen. It's all about taking time to say, hey, listen, I'm going to accomplish what it is I said I'm going to accomplish and this is why, because I'm worth it and because you're worth it. And that's what you should be saying to yourself, because you are worth it. And the people that you serve, or the people that are waiting for you to become the leader, to become the business owner that's helping others, to become that resource, the people that are waiting for you, they deserve it too. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. What it comes down to is, are we going to be selfish, or are we going to go out there and serve? That's really what it comes down to. And when it comes down to it, I said I was going to serve. I said I was going to do these things and provide these resources. Am I going to do that? Both to the clients that I have, both online and offline, because I have offline clients. One of them's my wife, right? That's a real client. Why? Because I said that I'll do this project. I said that I'll complete it. Now it's my responsibility. I'm accountable to this individual now, just as I am to the free daily coaching call, to the friends of FDC, and so on and so forth on different levels. And so when you create those levels of accountability, you get to decide, right? You get to decide, am I going to be accountable? Am I going to follow through? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do what I said I was going to do? Think about it for the parents out there. When you had a child, it was pretty easy, right? You just did it. You kept on doing what you were supposed to do, like it was the requirement. Like there was no, like one day you didn't just wake up and go, you know what? I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm just not going to be a parent anymore. Same if you own a pet, right? You have to take care of the animal every single day. You don't just wake up one day and be like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to feed it or water it. I'm out on that. That's not how it works, right? So what if you started to treat everything that you did in your life just like that? Because check this out. This is the crazy part, because there's like a little string that keeps getting me right here. Isn't everything in our life that way? Isn't everything in our life just that important? Because we just have this one turn, this one shot, this one go round that we know of, right? So isn't it just as important? Isn't that just as important as how that we make sure that we take care of our pets, or we make sure that we're a good parent, or a good sibling, or a good friend? Isn't what we say that we're going to do for our friends and for ourselves just as important? Absolutely. Right? Where do we put these things on scale of importance? Because check this out. They're all a part of our life. They're each just as important, each component, right? Drinking water is just as important as eating food. Now, you could probably go longer without eating food than you can, or you could go longer without, you know what I mean? You could do one with, for longer, but they're both just as important. So doing what we say, being accountable to ourselves is just as important as being accountable to other people. The accountability is just another piece of an entire jigsaw puzzle, of an entire puzzle that we're putting together called a home-based business. And part of our home-based business is developing ourselves as individuals so that we can be the best resource and of the most value to those around us, to those we serve. And that's really the ultimate goal. And so when you don't accomplish a goal, when you don't get to the desired result, when you give up, when you quit, when you don't continue to move forward, the question today is, are you just harming yourself, or is there other individuals that you may be affecting? And what could you do? What can I do? What can you do? What can we do as individuals and as a group? What can we do today, right now, to move forward, to take the required actions to get to the end result? That's what we all want. We all want to get to a place where we feel secure in our home-based business, when we're happy that we're serving other people, that our financial needs are being met, that our emotional, that our intrinsic rewards are being met, right? So the other thing that one other takeaway, this is the last takeaway from the morning, is ask for help. One of the things that I was unable to do, or in the past was unable to ask for help and finding solutions. And the quicker that we're able, and this is what I found in my experience, the quicker that we're able to go and ask for help in finding solutions, the faster we're able to move. This is real. The longer that you will be stuck is the longer amount of time that you're stuck in one area is the longer that you're, the more amount of time that you're willing, I'm not articulating this very well, but the longer that you wait in asking for help is the longer amount of time that is the same amount of time that you'll stay stuck. The way to get unstuck is to simply ask for help. Even if someone doesn't know the solution, they may be able to point you in the right direction or point you towards the solution. And ultimately, that's our goal, is to get to the solution the fastest way possible. Asking for help was a key in this endeavor. Being able to say, hey, you know what? I don't know about all this. I need to ask someone else. There's people out there that probably already know about this and probably already do this. If I simply ask them, they'll probably tell me. Thank you for joining us here at Free Daily Coaching. If you're watching us over on YouTube, if you're watching a recording of this, if you're over on freedailycoaching.com and you're watching our current playlist, what I encourage you to do is click over on the right-hand side of www.freedailycoaching.com. You'll see an icon just like the logo right up above my shoulder here. And you can simply click on that icon to register for the free daily coaching webinars. They happen each and every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. That's 10 a.m. Eastern for all you East Coasters. You can click back from 10 to 7 through the time zones to find your appropriate time zone. And I encourage you, visit us over at www.freedailycoaching.com so you can catch up on all of the tips, tricks, and strategies that we're using on a regular basis to help others build, start, and create a profitable home-based business. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you the next time.